So I want to talk about one of the ways that I receive messages is I get images. Sometimes I'll get like full storylines, or I might get something like an image of a cartoon. I might get lyrics to a song. I might get different things, right? So I did a reading for a cat in spirit, and his name was Flash. So this was probably well over a year ago that I did this reading. So I was still learning how my messages came through, and I wasn't quite sure how to interpret this. So when I asked if there was something he wanted to share with Mom, he showed me the image of a walrus, but specifically the walrus from the cartoon Alice in Wonderland. So I shared that message with Mom, and I was going about different ways of trying to explain how the message might be interpreted. So I mentioned that the walrus had a big bushy mustache, right? And I said, do you know anybody that has a mustache? Because this cat was warning her about this person, right? So I said, the walrus in my vision had a big bushy mustache. She said, no. And I said, is there something related to walruses? And she said, no. And I said, what about the story Alice in Wonderland? Does that resonate with you? And she said, no, that doesn't either. So that was actually one of those instances where I delivered the message, but between me and Mom, we couldn't figure out the meaning, right? So months later, as I continued to practice and do more sessions, I became more aware of how messages would come to me and how I would be able to interpret them. I just got this really uneasy feeling about this specific person in the reading. So months later, I'm doing other readings, and then as I started to learn, you need to look at this when you receive a message, you need to look at that. I went back through some of my notes, and I was reevaluating some of the messages that I received to see if I could interpret them a slightly different way or get some more clarity on previous messages, right? When I went back and reviewed this reading, I knew exactly how to interpret it this time. When I messaged Mom, I said, so that walrus character was very shady. He was very deceptive. So this was a way that your cat was showing me, tell Mom she needs to be careful of this guy. As soon as I said that to Mom, she said, my ex-boyfriend. My cat hated my ex-boyfriend. That's exactly who he's talking about. So as an animal communicator, I'm going to work to try to decipher the message the best way that I can. But the same thing might happen with my client too. It might not resonate with you right away, but it might be days later, it might be months later, it might be weeks later, and you might be, oh my gosh, that's what Sandy meant. And I'd love to hear about after the fact. I hope this explains some ways that I may receive messages, and I'm going to try to explain it to you when I do a reading for you. To learn more about readings that I've done, make sure to like and follow for more. Oh, and don't forget to say hi to your cats in spirit.